My businesses will make over $30 million in 2025. And if I had to start off with just $100, this is exactly what I would do to make my first million as soon as possible. And I'm speaking from experience when I say this, because just 4 years ago, I was $180,000 in debt and I dropped out of law school to pursue entrepreneurship full time. So I've been there, and I'm making this video to share what I wish I knew back then, to give you a clear path from zero beginner to your first $1 million revenue, because I'm telling you from experience, it's possible if you have the right system. So let's get into it. Now, before we even think about spending money to set up a website or file an LLC or company, I want to go over what I learned the hard way, which are the fundamental misconceptions that most people have with how to make money. So growing up, I didn't come from a wealthy family. So I'm the only entrepreneur that's ever been in my family. But for some reason, ever since a kid, I knew I wanted more for myself. I don't know exactly why. I was a very high-end athlete growing up. So I think that because I was such a high-level athlete, when I stopped playing hockey, I think I always craved to be the best at something again. Where, for example, when I was going to be a lawyer, when you start, you have to be at the firm for 7 years before you become a partner. There's nothing you can do to speed that up. So I wanted something where I could just put work and improve and kind of have control over my outcome. So I always had this desire to create this amazing life for myself, always wanted to be rich. That led to me reading a lot of self-development and personal development books. And if you're not from a wealthy background and have a wealthy family, I think that is so important, because it instills the right mindset in you that it's important to set goals and to visualize success and manifestation and all this stuff like that. So I was reading all this great content, but I was never taking action. And I didn't know where to start. And I remember being scared to death to post online. I think I even started like a fitness YouTube channel because I was super into fitness at the time. And I made like 1 or 2 videos and I was getting laughed at by my friends, and I was so embarrassed, so I just deleted them and stopped. But I always did have this desire for success. I just didn't know what to do. So after getting laughed at and feeling this hesitancy, one day I realized that in order to have 0.1% level results, 999 out of 1,000 people have to think you're crazy. So if you want a top 1% level life, that means that if you imagine 100 people in a room, you probably know 100 people pretty well. That means you have to be the one that wants it more than the other 99. Okay. Now, if you want a 0.1% level life, that means if your entire high school graduating class was, let's say, 1,000 people, you have to want to be unlike 999 of them to have a better life than them all. Or let's say if you want a 0.01 level life, I want you to picture a sports stadium at a sports game with 10,000 people in it. You have to be the one person that comes out on top with the best life. So when you put it like that, if you want to have a 0.01% level life, then it's pretty obvious when you think of it that way that everyone's going to laugh at you and think you're crazy. So when people think you're crazy, that's actually proof that you're on the right track. If you're not getting pushback, then it means you're not doing anything different. So being uncomfortable is your competitive advantage, because a lot of people have these goals. They want to be successful. They want big things for their life. But as soon as they feel that discomfort that I felt when I posted those first YouTube videos, that's when they quit. So if you have 100 people that start a business, I would guess that over 80 of them would quit within the first few weeks. Not months, not years, literally first few weeks, just because it's so uncomfortable. It's so unlike anything anyone else they know is doing that they feel embarrassed. They feel like, what am I thinking? And then they lack that self-belief and conviction and they quit. But if you can feel that, if you can just sit in that discomfort, if you can sit with the people laughing at you, and you can sit and be comfortable with everyone else thinking you're crazy, and you can just keep going over and over and over again and stay consistent, then you will automatically just be in the 1% anyway. It doesn't even matter how good you are. Just from actually starting something and staying with it through that, you will be able to beat out 99 out of 100 people. And another very important lesson is volume negates luck. So what that means is by being consistent, you're actually getting better each time as well. Let's say you make 2 people starting out making content on social media or starting a business, and one of them tries for 2 weeks and then quits, and the other one stays at it for a year. It's obvious that the person who sticks with it for a year is going to be way better than the person that does it for 2 weeks. So not only are they staying consistent and staying in the game, they're improving as they do so. So when you're doing something, just by doing more of it, more volume, you're actually increasing the chances you're going to be successful, just because the higher amount of times you do something, the higher chance you have to get lucky. But also, every time you do it, if you're purposely trying to get better, you're actually improving your skills as well. While everyone else tries something then quits, or maybe in e-commerce they test one product and they want just the perfect thing. So you're out there testing all sorts of products, and not only are you increasing your chances of finding a winner just by volume alone, you're learning what makes a good product, what isn't making a good product. So then over time, you are more likely to pick a winner as well. Another very important thing is you need to stop switching mountains once you're 2,000 feet up. If your goal is to climb a mountain that's 20,000 feet tall, and you climb one mountain 2,000 feet, and then you go down to the bottom and then start another mountain and go 2,000 feet, that is the equivalent of what most people do. They'll start an e-commerce store, it'll be a little harder hard, they won't like it, they'll quit and fail and think, oh, I'm gonna start an agency now. Then they do that for a little bit, they quit, they don't like it, I'm gonna do affiliate marketing. And the reality is that every business model is going to have imperfections. There's always something about it that you'll be able to look somewhere else and say, oh, that other business in this way will be better. But the truth is the grass is rarely greener on the other side. The grass is greener when you water it. So yes, there are business models that are better than others and will give you more of an advantage early on than other ones. But that said, they all work if you actually just stay consistent long enough. So one of the worst things you can do is start something and then always be looking at everything else. So when I first got started, I was working the same hours now as I do making $30+ million a year. The difference isn't the amount of time I was spending. The difference is in the productivity and prioritization. So before, I would always do busy work. So busy work where I was super busy and I felt productive. Where now I have a way bigger to-do list that's hundreds of things long that I know that I'll never actually be able to finish, but I'm very good at looking at that list and picking out the top 3 things that are going to move the needle the most and make the biggest difference in my business. So early on, if I could give myself a piece of advice, it would be you need to work hard. Like, yes, you have to absolutely put the time in early on to see success, but you should always be asking, like, is this the highest ROI thing you can do? And a good thought experiment for this is imagine if someone you love very much was going to be abducted in 30 days if you didn't get this specific goal done. What things would you be focusing on then? You probably wouldn't be worried about what color your button was on your website. You would probably be worried in e-commerce about closing the best suppliers, making a great website, and learning how to make ads. If you just do those 3 things right, then everything else will look after itself. You can change the button colors and change how your emails look later on, but those aren't super high ROI things that you should be focusing on early on. Now, the tricky part about this is that out of all the things that I did in my first 4 years to get to my first $1 million, it now looks completely different thanks to AI, which brings me to my next point. So here's what most people still don't understand about AI and why the same $100 today will buy you 10 times more leverage than when I got started just a few years ago. So in today's world, there will be one person who builds a $1 billion company, just them. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, he wrote an article in Forbes about this. We have 18-year-old kids like the App Mafia guys using AI to build apps and making millions of dollars per month. So this is actually possible now. So before, even just a few years ago, a $1 billion company would have required a huge team of people with different departments and different experts in all these different areas. But now you can have one person with a team of AI agents or AI employees build a $1 billion company themselves, and that is not far away. And the best part about AI, and perhaps my favorite part, is you have to manage less people. So I'm naturally an introverted person, which means essentially if I'm in a busy place like a mall or a party where I don't know people, it exhausts me. If I'm with the right group of people and an energizing group of people, I love socializing and spending time with them, and it's very energizing. But I'm not good in new situations and stimulating environments, so I'm introverted, which means managing a bunch of low-level people is extremely, extremely painful for me. Yes, working with great people like I have in my C-suite team is amazing, but if you have all these people that you're responsible for who don't listen to basic instructions and they don't listen, they're always doing just like some small thing wrong and they're lacking attention to detail, it's extremely frustrating for me. Now, when AI starts taking jobs, I think AI is supposed to replace like 800 million jobs. The jobs that it's going to replace first are those ones. So if you imagine a pyramid, the people at the top are the highest level people, and as you go down, you have lower and lower level people to the bottom, where you have like people working in third world countries as customer service agents right now, like they're at the bottom. So AI will replace the people at the bottom first as you go up. So AI will be able to replace a lot of those lower level people who can't follow instructions, which means that a few years ago, you might have had to have a team of, let's say, 5 experts with 10 people each beneath them. So you'd have a 50-person company to build to $100 million. Now you can just have the same team of 5 experts with maybe 1 or 2 people who are great, plus all of them using AI, and you can get the same result. So when you think of output or productivity on a per person basis, you can get 100 or even 1,000x more per person when you know how to use these AI tools properly. So AI right now is like Bitcoin in 2008, except you can still buy it for 8 cents. So we are still early in AI. So you maybe heard about Bitcoin in like early 2010s or even before that, and everyone said it was a scam, but I heard about it. I remember hearing about it. We're still in that window now with AI. So a lot of these big companies move very slow. They have middle management, they have meetings about meetings and meetings about decisions, and then those decisions need more meetings, and it's just a big mess. And it's because all these people are on salaries. They don't really care about the company so much. But when you're early on, you can be fast and nimble, and you can integrate this stuff right away. You don't have to go through 5 layers of approval processes to learn AI. I mean, just go ask your parents, your grandparents, how they're using AI. Maybe they've heard of ChatGPT, but they still don't know what this stuff can do, and they have no idea. So these big companies will take a long time to implement it. And it's just the way humans are. Like, a lot of us probably just use ChatGPT instead of Google now. I know I do. But if you look at the majority of the population, they still use Google. And it's just because behavior is slow to change. So there's this window right now where we have this insane new technology that can do things like never before in history. We have a complete blue ocean market where we can be way more productive. We can have AI do all this work for for us, and 99% of people still aren't using it to its advantage. So this opportunity to get in early will not be around forever. Like, we're talking about months. In 6 months from now, there'll be huge progress. In 12, there'll be huge more. And just like the people who got in early and bought Bitcoin in 2008, the people who get in early to things are always the one that get outsized returns. Another great example is the Homestead Act. So in 1849, the US was a new country, and everyone was coming from Europe to the eastern part of the country, like Boston in New York. So the US government at the time, I believe it was Abraham Lincoln, actually gave free land in the West to anyone who was just willing to move west to help populate the land. Those people who moved west got free land that is now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And the reason they got that land for free is because they were in the US early. It was the same thing with Bitcoin. It was the same thing if you bought a stock like Apple or Amazon or any of these technology stocks in the early 2000s. It's the same thing now with AI, and you still have the opportunity to buy it at 8 cents, so to speak. So you need to jump on this now. You can't keep waiting around. You need to take action now and start. Because one person plus AI plus the internet equals infinite leverage. Like I said before, you would have had to have big teams in departments, in people to get anything done because everything was done manually. But now we can automate so much using AI. A lot of people still aren't even using it remotely to its full potential. So a lot of people still use prompts. So they put a prompt into an AI, they get a result, they take that result, put it in another tool, give it another prompt. But we can use tools like N8N where we can have like a sequence of prompts or an AI agent go use this tool, then take that result and then take that result and go use this tool. And it can do that all automated. So I'm not exaggerating when I say you can make yourself 1,000 times more efficient if you know how to use these tools properly. So AI didn't kill opportunity. It actually equaled the playing field for those willing to learn. Because 5-10 years ago, if you wanted to hire the best copywriter to write your ads, you would have had to pay them $300,000 per year, which was not realistic for any person new to business. But now you get access to that copywriter for free. You get access to the best web designers. You get access to the best video editors, all for free. So it's actually completely equal. It's never been more equal. So if you're new to online business and you don't have a bunch of money to start, you have never had more opportunity than ever before in history. Like 20 years ago, if you wanted to start a business, you had to buy an in-person location and hire employees and run payroll and pay for inventory. You don't have to do any of that now. It is the best wealth creation opportunity of all time. And you don't even need to know how it works. You don't need to know how to code. You don't need to know how AI works any more than you need to know how to put together a car engine to drive a car. You just need to know what AI tools to use in order to accomplish your goal and just how the whole thing fits together. So how you can use this tool to do this, and then you can now piece them together using AI connection tools like N8N. But look, the reality is there are so many opportunities that AI unlocks that most people get overwhelmed. They try and look at 20 different AI businesses, and then they get paralysis by analysis and ultimately get nowhere. Because no matter the tools and no matter what information you have, if you don't have an actual business to apply it to, then the chances you're going to go from zero to your first $1 million is very low. I'm just being real here. So I've done a lot of research and a lot of experimentation with AI over the last few years, and the business model that I recommend the most is called the AI digital dealer model. Now again, if I was starting from scratch, I would spend this $100 to start my own AI e-commerce store. So dropshipping isn't dead. You're just doing it wrong. So people hear the term dropshipping and immediately start thinking and assuming all these things. They think scam, they think cheap products from China, they think angry customers. But if you zoom out, dropshipping is just a fulfillment method. It just means that a product you're selling is not in your warehouse. It just means that it's in someone else's warehouse, which is actually a huge advantage if you're a beginner. Because unless you're a beginner who for some reason wants to deal with inventory and shipping, it allows you to not do that. So when you're getting started, the number one thing you need to look for is a business that will give you the highest possible upside for the lowest possible risk. Now, I want you to name me a business where you can invest $200 to get started and then make one sale for $173,000 like you see on the screen right here. So in my program, we've had clients make $173,000 sales, $168,000 sales to a Las Vegas hotel, $77,000, $71,000, numerous for over $50,000. And these people had no prior experience and got started for almost nothing. Now, I'm not saying that this is the most profitable business ever. If you were to start a software company, it is more likely you will sell the software company for hundreds of millions of dollars. But the barrier to entry for a beginner is huge. You usually have to have venture capital, outside funding, and it's a huge risk. So as a beginner, what I recommend you do is look for the highest upside for the lowest possible risk. And then you can build your skills, you can get your feet wet, you can make some money. And if you want to pursue a higher leverage business model where you can get the $100 million exit after, then you can. You've built some skills, you've saved up some money, but that is 99% of the time not where you should start. So most people don't fail because they're lazy, they fail because they choose the wrong business model. So when I got started, I failed at multiple business models. I failed 13 dropshipping stores selling products from China. I failed selling items on Facebook Marketplace. I failed with crypto. I lost thousands of dollars on all these things. But then I found the right thing and everything changed. Because when you have the right business model, everything becomes a lot easier. So when I started selling these high ticket products, I made my first ever sale on October 21st, 2021 for $14,000. In just my third month, I crossed for $215,000. And in the first 18 months, I crossed over $5 million. So I literally went from failing at numerous things to hitting over $5 million in 18 months as soon as I found the right business model. So the compound effect there is real. And there's so many leverage points with this business model. So I'll name a few. We already discussed selling high ticket items. So let's say you put $200 or $300 in to start this. Almost always we can make sales for $500 to $1,000 profit. So let's say if you make $1,000 profit on your first sale, that means if you use $300 to get started, you are 3x in the profit on your first sale. Most of the time to start a business, if you were to start a McDonald's franchise, it costs you $750,000 to open the franchise. So imagine how much money and how many hamburgers you would have to sell to make that back. Here, we can get started for a few $100s and one sale can put us in the profit. So again, the upside for the risk is so disproportionate in a good way. The other thing is when you get started, you get to leverage the brand names you're selling for. Let's say if you lost your iPhone in the woods and then you go to a corner store in a small town and you see that they're selling Apple iPhones. Even though you've never been to the corner store before, if you can see on the shelf that the Apple iPhone is real, you will trust them and buy from them because they clearly have a partnership with Apple, right? So it's the same thing here. Just because we are a new website, we can partner with these US-based brands that have been around for 30, 40, sometimes over 50 years, and we can sell their products. So customers already know the brands. They're familiar with them. They already are searching them up in the thousands on Google. So we can reach out to these brands and say, hey, we're going to use these AI tools to help you make sales. And you don't have to pay us anything. All you have to do is whenever we make you a sale, give us 20, 30, 40%. So this is way better for them because they don't have to front any upfront costs for an agency to do this for them. They just pay us from the sales we help them make, and we grow their brand and we make a big cut for doing so. But the biggest thing is we get to leverage their brand name. So even though we're a brand new store, we can list their products and customers who visit our website will trust us because they trust the brands we're selling for. And that's how you can have people like my client Yuvi, who made a sale for $77,000 in his second month. That's how Cabrin made a sale to a Las Vegas Strip hotel for $168,000 in his third month. It's because these companies trust the brands they're buying and they don't really care where they're listed. They are just clicking the first ad that comes up, which is quite easy to be when we know how to use the right AI tools to position the product there. So we have this disproportionate upside for risk. One sale can put us in a huge profit. Rather than being a beginner who nobody knows the brand, nobody knows the website, we get to leverage these other brand names that have been built up for 30, 40, sometimes over 50 years. So fun fact, my first sale that I made for $14,000 was from a sauna brand called Clearlight. First ever sale I made. So Clearlight has been around, I think, for 20, 30 years. They have like 50 employees based in the US, and they're owned by Jacuzzi. Like, you know how when you say Jacuzzi, you think of a hot tub? Well, Jacuzzi is a company name that owns Clearlight, which has been around since the 1800s. So can you see how as a beginner entrepreneur, selling products from brands like Jacuzzi and Clearlight is going to give you a huge shortcut versus just trying to buy some product from China yourself and sell it on your store from a brand that nobody knows. So the leverage and the upside for the risk you have to take with this AI digital dealer model is absolutely insane. And the best part is this, you have a huge advantage over me because you can now take the same system that I used and now AI can automate 90% of the process for you. So before I had to spend days, if not weeks, doing product research. Then I had to find all my suppliers. Then I had to spend probably a week or two figuring out how to use Shopify. Then I had to set up Google Merchant Center. Then I had to learn how to run Google Ads. Literally, like I was working I remember 8 to 10 hours a day doing all this stuff, and it took me like 6 weeks to get everything set up. But now AI can cut that in like a 10th. So I built an AI product selection tool, trained on all my knowledge, all my brain. So typically we want products to have 10,000 search demand and a $3,000 price point. But you can now just ask the AI tool to do the research for you and it will spit you out a winner in seconds. Then once you have your winning product, you can go to the tool I built called Supplier HQ. You can put any product name there. And in a second, just by putting the product name in, it will give you all the suppliers for any product and it will give you all the supplier contact information. So rather than having to dig through websites, dig through Google to find the contact information, we'll just give it to you in a single click. So that right there, you can find a winning product and find the suppliers in less than 30 seconds if you have the two tools pulled up. Before that would have taken weeks. Then once you have a product and supplier, you need to build a website. So again, that probably took me a week. But now there's tools like Replo and Atlas where you can just click a button and it will build your full Shopify store for you. Rather than having to spend weeks writing customer emails, you can again just have AI do it for you. Rather than having to manually do keyword research to find what keywords you want to bid on for your products, Google now has PMax, which is essentially like an AI ad strategy where you just upload your products, and then PMax, with the most powerful AI in the world, which is Google, will just go find the people already searching for your products for you. If you want to run video ads like Meta ads or TikTok ads or YouTube ads, whatever you want to run, rather than having to buy an expensive camera setup and hire actors and editors and all this stuff, you can just use AI video tools like VO3 or Arcads. And I actually made a video about this last week, which I'll link in the description below. You can click that, check it out, and see how you can make AI video ads yourself for free in just a few clicks. And you don't have to run paid ads at all. You can just make these same videos using these AI tools. If you want to do a voiceover one, you can use 11 Labs, and then you can just post this on your Instagram or your TikTok or your YouTube. And rather than having to make hundreds or thousands of sales to replace your salary, now if you just make 2 or 3 sales per month to the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people searching for these products, that is enough to replace your salary. So again, the upside for the risk is absolutely insane. So gun to my head, if someone I loved was going to be abducted in a year from now, if I had to turn this $100 into $1 million in revenue, this is genuinely the business model that I would use. Now, of course, there's a lot more that goes into it than what I've covered in this video. So if you want to see a full step-by-step breakdown, I put together one last week. You can check it out right here on the screen. I'll link it. You can go check it out and watch exactly from A to Z how you can get started with this. That's all for this video. If you took any value, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.